Well, hi folks, lovely evening tonight. Been a red hot day, so I'll just give you a little bit of a roundup, show you what's going on up at the plot. So I'll show you how things are progressing. I've got my phone tonight because I forgot my camera again because I'm an idiot. I'll just show you, I've got a lot of stuff planted out now, as you can see. So I'll just show you the few little things. Planted a few of the spring onions in the bunches, in little clumps, sort of about half a dozen to a clump. Peas are doing well now, growing up. I've put a few little pea sticks in to try and encourage them up the mesh, so they're doing well. Could do with a bit of rain, shouldn't say that, it's tempting fate, isn't it? But it's looking red hot for the rest of the week, so things should really fly on. Planted out this 60-day rab broccoli, it's called. Supposed to plant it quite close because they're only small plants, but I've only put them about 9 inches apart, so we'll see how that gets on. Made a little cloche out of one of these. Got a job lot of school tables, but I left them up here and all the tops rotted, but there's a nice frame, so you can just quite easily knock a little cloche up like that in a few minutes. I've got myself a big lump of wood. Oh shit, I've just trodden on a right, sorry about that. I've just got myself a big lump of wood, look, so I can walk right across my plot to do my weeding without fear of standing on the soil. So I've got the lettuces in now. I've got about 8 or 9 little gem in, and a few of the iceberg. It's not too windy, so that they should settle in quite nicely. I've planted them in windy conditions in the past, and they can get really battered. So touch wood, they should pick up. Got all the shallots in there. I don't know whether you can see, little banana shallots. They don't look big yet, but they've got 2 and 3 leaves on. So again, they should establish themselves and grow on really well. Just go down here a bit. Plant these about 6 inches apart, just same as onions, 6 inches apart in the row, and a foot apart between the rows. Just try and show you the size. Like I say, they're not big, but they want to go out. Stop them getting root bound in the little pots. Onions are growing slowly. There's a few little missing ones, so obviously something's pulled them up. But I've got 60 in here and 80 in the other part, so should have plenty to go at. And then the garlic's doing well from a late sowing, end of February, early March. Looking quite good. No signs of any rust. I don't tend to get much rust. If I do, it's really late on. So it's when the bulbs have formed, so I'm lucky in that respect. And a few more lettuces. These are the multi-green and red. The lovely little crunchy frilly lettuce. And yet more spring onions. So I've got plenty of spring onions in. So the potatoes, the first sign of life now, just popping through. These are the Nicola, the new potatoes, first earlies or second earlies. So they're the only ones that are popping through. That's a sarpo, where there's, yeah, we're just getting a little bit of poppage there. So that's the first ones of the sarpos coming through as well. They're main crop and they'll grow on for ages, so no rush with those. Likewise the blue Danube. So anyway, spuds have just started to pop through, so once they get going and get into the sun, they should fly away. So as you can see, I'm getting stuff planted out. It's not looking too bad. So into my other bit, this is me box full of carrots. This is just for eating these. These are just, they're still the same sweet candles, the stump carrots, and I do grow them in the same way in sand with boreholes, but I don't bother riddling the sand because I'm not after a perfect carrot. But I still grow them the same way. It's a bit of a faff, but they do tend to grow well. Got a few sweet peas in. I didn't grow these, I just bought them. They're looking a bit ropey yet, but they'll pick up once they get the roots in. I always like to have a few flowers now and again, just for the colour of it all. I'm taking loads of the rhubarb now. I've absolutely wrecked this plant. I've taken loads. We had rhubarb crumble for tea and it was absolutely bloody fantastic. So getting through it. It's growing better than it has done for a few years. Not sure why, but this year, sometimes it sends a big seed head up, but there's no sign of it this year, thankfully. And my gooseberries, which were just an absolute disaster for the first couple of years, started to get a few little gooseberries on, look. So we should get a picking, probably enough for a few pies, but they seem to have established, so it's all good stuff. I've got this big, I'm not sure, it's one of these grafted trees I got from B&Q years ago. It's only got a tiny little trunk on it, but this massive head, if you can see, and it always gets some cracking bird's nests in it. I don't think I can see any yet, but I found a really good bird's nest. I'll show you that in a minute when I get to that bit. And the second lot of peas, just this is where I grew my giant runner beans last year, so I thought I'm not wasting good soil for a silly veg, so I'll get some more peas in, and then at least we've got a bit more to eat. Right folks, I came up today and had a look at this bird's nest, and none had hatched. I don't know whether you can see, they've just hatched out. Little dunnock's nest, tiny little blue eggs, and we've just got 2 hatching now. So I don't know whether you can see it, but I won't disturb it anyway. I'll let it get back to its nest. I'll just show you the other bit. Thistles, good at growing thistles, but I've weed killed those, just spot weeded them. This should be alright. This is where I'm planting some more rhubarb. And I've planted some kale in there. I'm just getting the marrow patch sort of riddled over and skimmed all the weeds off, or most of the weeds. And we should be ready to plant out a few of the marrows in about a week's time. So finally we'll just go into Polytunnel, show you what I've been doing in here. So like I said, I've planted most stuff out now. It's looking a bit sparse, but it'll fill up. So there's my little cucumber. I'm going to train that up a stick there. I've got some more cucumbers to plant as well, some Carmen they're called. They're a show variety, but they're good for eating. And the courgette, how pitiful it looks. This is one of the yellow varieties this year, but again that'll fill the bed up. So it looks absolutely pitiful. 2 little tiny plants in a whole bed. Like I said, once they get going, they'll fill it up. French beans are in now. I've only planted 6. These are the Cobra. Absolutely amazing croppers. So once they get to the top of the frames and start producing beans, you're absolutely overcome with beans all summer, and they're brilliant. I always plant a few spare lettuces in the polytunnel just to get them about 2 or 3 weeks earlier. Just a bit of sort of intercropping in between. So that's the beans done, and a few more lettuce. The show carrots, as you can see, they've really come on since I did the last update. They just love the heat, and they don't seem to mind it being really hot in here. I've never had any trouble with them. So I've got 2 tubs of those for sure. Again, 2 missing that some mysterious thing ate, but I've re-sowed those, even though they'll be too late, so they won't match, but there's some more to eat. And then likewise, the giant carrots. You won't believe in 3 months there'll be hopefully a 5-foot carrot underneath there. It seems a bit crazy looking at them at this stage, but that's the plan. Oh, I'm sorry, the old rhubarb's repeating on me. So we've got the giant potatoes planted. 3, that's one that was grown under the lights, and these are 2 that were grown under the lights and left on the windowsill for 3 days, and you can see the difference less light makes to growing under lights, how compact that is, and they drew out, you know, in virtual darkness. So anyway, I've got those in, we'll see how they get on. Got the giant carrots in too. Excuse me. Not very big, hoping for a £6 plus one as usual. I think that's my record, so see if we can get a good one. I've got 3 in there, and I had a bit of a reject, so I chucked it in that thing there. So we've got a few bits of daft crazy stuff in. And finally the onions. Apart from the fact that they're getting scorched on the leaves, I've now had to put a bit of a not a windbreak, a little bit of shelter up from the direct sunlight. I don't know whether it'll make a lot of difference, but they were getting extremely scorched on the other side. But I'm really happy with these so far. That's the one in the air pot. If I can show you the sort of size, look at that. It's massive, they're massive. Biggest I've ever grown them at this stage. So I'm really happy with them, as you can see. It's a bit cramped here, I'll just try and get in again. Look at that. I've got about 18 and 19 leaves on. It's not even the middle of May yet. They're not really starting to bulb up yet, so they should be big, but like I say, until they're up and running and no pests, we can't really promise anything, but so far really promising. So the onions, I've got 6 growing. They're all much of a a muchness really. There's not one that's particularly small or one that's particularly big. This one's little, because this one was the sort of runt of the litter. But you never know, sometimes they catch up and overtake them. But like I said, I could not be happier with the onions so far this year. Not going to be world beaters, but as long as I get a 10-pounder at Harrogate, I'll be really happy with that. I'd love to sort of weigh one in at 10 pound at Harrogate. So that's the aim. That's the aim anyway, folks. Anyway, that's about all that's going on at the moment. Weather's set fair. It's fantastic weather. Loving it. Meat last. So that's about it, folks. Lovely evening. I'm going to stop up here as long as I can. It's gone out of focus. So that's about it, folks. See you later.